Hello, everyone. Jak Syn here on behalf of Fiend.com and Future Daze, and today I am sitting with Ashley and Anita of Forged in Neon. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Hi, guys.
So good to have you on today. So good to get a chance to sit down and talk with you about all the awesome stuff you have going on.
Well, yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome. You know what? So how's everything going on where you're at? Like, how's the weather over there? How are things where you're at in your neck of
You know
woods?
what? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like it's quite cold, but the sun was shining today. I had blue skies all day, which is for Ireland is actually something that never usually happens. But yeah, no, it's pretty good.
Well, you know what? Hey, when the sun can come out a little bit, that's great. It's you get a little bit of
Exactly.
like warm sun. That's always a good thing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, but in my case over here in Los Angeles, it's like sunny all the time. So today it's an overcast day, which I'm happy about because we don't really get that too much. We either have we usually have two types of seasons, either spring or summer. There's no in
Ugh,
between. So it's kind of nice to get that cooler weather a little bit.
I dream of LA weather, but send some over in a bag to me. That would be great.
You got it. I'll send some right over to you.
I'm going to hold you to that, Jak. I'm going to hold you to that.
Sounds awesome. So today we're going to ask you a couple of questions and see where it goes from here. Are you ready to get into it?
Shoot. I'm ready.
So tell us about Forge and Neon. What is it that Forge and Neon is all about?
Well, it's a resource for, I suppose, for artists as well as fans with respect to, I guess, just, just getting it out there to people, another resource that people can lean on. Essentially, my MO for it was to, come at it from a fan's perspective. With everything that was actually out there in the ether, it looked to me like there was sort of like a nerd off with respect to people, reviews and arpeggiators and snares. I just wanted to come at it from a fan's perspective. So principally, what Forest and Dion is I suppose it's a review center. It's also an interview center as well, where I get to kind of interact with musicians and artists currently on the scene. And yeah, no, so it's essentially just a resource. It's a website that I built from scratch pretty much. And yeah, it's doing pretty well.
Well, you're doing some amazing work over there. I mean, from all your interviews, all of the, even when you're putting the playlist up on your site and you're getting connected with the fans out there, I mean, you're really showing your love for the synthwave community, and I think that that's really great because I see where you're coming from with the or with the fans' perspective. It's like, yes, you can get very technical in this scene. People can talk about synthesizers all day, but we want to get to the nitty gritty of who the artist is, like who they are inside, and really kind of bring the fans together and bridge that gap. So I think it's great that you're doing this.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, because coming at it from a fan perspective, I get to interview artists, and I have questions that essentially go to the heart of them and who they are. So, what their favorite sound is, what their favorite film is, and all of those little things. All obviously, it's interspersed with actual musical questions, but in essence, it just gets to the heart of the artist, so that it makes the artist somewhat human. When you're actually listening to it, you're listening to them on Night Ride or Forever Synth and places like that. You're hearing the sounds and you're hearing the musician, but you're not you don't know who they are. So my approach was in essence just to kind of round those edges off and make sure that they're presented in a good way.
And that right there, that's great. A lot of the time, artists in this scene, it's like we don't get to see who they are, like really like hear and see and get a sense of who they are inside, like what personal things they overcome, or like you were saying, their favorite movies or like their favorite sounds or their favorite quotes, like whatever they like. You want to get that sense that who they are deep inside of themselves.
For sure. I mean, for me personally, I mean, I know what I like from an interview based on what artists I like to hear about. So if I could translate that and give it back, I'm essentially speaking to the fan in us all. Even if you are a musician, you're still a fan of someone else. And I do get quite a high percentage of musicians that actually approach me and say that I'm doing pretty decent work, which is obviously something that still blows me away. I mean, when you get DMs from your favorite musicians, it's always going to be a a mind-blowing scenario that somebody out there is actually looking at your stuff and what you've, you know, written. So it's always going to be fantastic that I've done something as great as that from that perspective.
Exactly. You know what's really great about this, about the scene that we're talking about here, is that everybody's very accessible. It feels like a big rainbow of fans and musicians and friends. You know, it's like a very family atmosphere, which I think is great. But it's people like you who are helping to expose these artists to larger audience out there in the internet universe, if you will. You know, and I know when we get back to live shows and stuff like that, it'll be even larger than it is now. But I mean, this is what we can do at the moment with everything happening.
It's been a very steep learning curve, but just as you said, you're quite right. It's a situation whereby in all the travels I've done, I have had the good fortune of making friends with all of the people. You know, you get to see the same people throughout the world even. That you've become friends with, and then in turn you become friends with artists, and they put their faith and their trust in you, and it's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, and that's what's great, you know, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that. I'm looking forward to being able to travel and go to these amazing shows again and kind of sync back up with all of these amazing people, because I know when we can, it's going to be freaking amazing. And believe me, it's a long time coming, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. I mean, I had plans last year to come see you, Jack, in San Junipero in LA, and it all went away. So hopefully next year, fingers crossed.
I know, fingers crossed, you know what I mean? And I like I said, I would have loved to have had you out and see the event and experience it all. It would have been so amazing to have you out here.
Yeah, for sure.
And to everybody, to everybody out there, it's like, I know sooner rather than later, we're all going to be back to this. But until then, let's try to support as much as we can. You know, read the interviews, watch the interviews, support the artists, listen to their music, and just be there as much as you can, because it's your love and your support that keeps this scene alive and keeps this scene growing into what it is.
100%. You know, it's people like yourself and others that, you know, they're doing so much good for the scene, and whatever little bit I have to play in that, I'm all for it. All for it.
So what would you say is some of your favorite parts about working on Forged in Neon?
Gosh, that is a great question. I mean, principally, it's all about the artists in my eyes. And so it's being able to, I suppose, interact with them and having them come across as almost like friends. You know, they're so embracing of people who approach them and want to kind of showcase their music. And it's been pretty decent from that perspective. I mean, Time Cop, Droid Bishop, Occam's Laser, you know, I've had all of them, you know, be really, really good for my site and understand the ethos of what I'm doing. And it's perfect. I mean, I suppose second to that, and no less important, is the Synth Fam, as they call it. All the people that have bought my merch, all the people that visit my site, pretty much support me on a daily basis. I have to shout out Julian Green, Karen Zoe Lee, Joe Loke. They're my rad pack, as we're known. And they're pretty brilliant, you know, at what they do personally for the scene. And I'm in pretty awesome company. So yeah.
Well, see, that's great. You know, it's great. That I think is what the best part about all this is that everybody wants to work. And when I say wants to work, they want to work for better. They want to work for more. They want to work to help build and help create and help get this out to as many parts of the world as they can, to as many ears as they can. And I think that right there, it's like, it's not even when you're doing it, it doesn't even feel like a goal. It doesn't even feel like it's like something that you're trying to work towards. It's just something that kind of falls into place, if you will, because you're doing what you love to do. And it doesn't even feel like a job or anything like that, because it really isn't a job. It's just you giving back to a scene that has given you so much. And I mean, that's the way that I feel about it, is that, you know, listening to this music and being in this scene and hearing all of the wonderful people and everything that they talk about, all the artists who make all the amazing music, that's what it feels like to me. It's like, you guys have given me so much. I want to give something back to you as any way that I can. So, and it's great to see that that's what you're doing as well.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, certainly from my own perspective, when I started doing this Forged and Neon situation, I really wanted to kind of, I didn't see much else out there from the female perspective. I mean, females in the synthwave scene, you know, goodness, there's quite a vast array of talent, from Nina to Oceanside 85 to Roxy Drive to Lau Ferez. So it's sort of like, you know, it's great to have more, how could you say, estrogen in the scene, so to speak, you know, but it's pretty decent. So even from the male female perspective, I've been treated equally across the board, and it's fabulous. You know, I couldn't want for better.
It's great that you can represent that, you know what I mean? And that right there is amazing, because you're right, there are so many artists in this scene, wonderful female artists out there really pushing and really creating so many amazing stuff, whether it's the synthwave stuff, the outrun stuff, the dark synth stuff, the retro, doesn't matter. They're all pushing for more. And I think it's great that there are so many like female artists, and you know, that are really kind of coming out more and more these days, kind of really pushing their sound to the forefront, because I think you're right. We always need more female artists. You know, there is a vast array, but many more, many more, especially yourself too, writing about it, doing reviews and things like that. You are coming out to the forefront. I think that's great.
Oh gosh, I mean, you know what? It'll never not be unsettling to me that people like you that I look up to actually, you know, say that I've got a big sort of part to play in the scene. Because when you're in your own little bubble and you're trying to create the site and put interviews up there, you just send it off out to the ether, and you don't know who's actually going to see it or what's actually happening. So it's never not going to be mind-blowing that people like yourself and other big named people they're seeing what I do and they're really liking it, and it's fantastic.
Well, I love it, you know, because I said you in your interviews, it's ask things that you want to know, things that fans want to know, you know, those burning questions that everybody's like that people want to know about. So I think that's what's great, is that you're kind of diving in and really kind of getting down to the nitty gritty of who these people are. Me personally, reading them, I go, wow, you know what? I never knew this. I never knew this about this artist. I didn't know that they liked this or that they enjoyed this. You know, it's great to see that. That is your driving force, is that you want to know about who they are in their core.
Exactly. And I mean, I suppose, as I said, coming from a fan's perspective, I just want to kind of empathize a bit and put myself in another fan's shoes and understand what they think they might want to know of the artist. And it's actually quite interesting, because some artists have come back to me and said that they've actually had a great interview, because they're not talking about the usual things. You know, it's not the sort of like a verbatim kind of copy and paste scenario. Like, there's all different kind of questions that somehow they haven't even answered, or, you know, they haven't been asked before. I mean, people like John Beckett, for example, was blown away by the simple question, what is his favorite sound? You know, and it's like, there's something he's never been asked before, but, you know, when you delve into it, you know, it's something so simple. But, you know, even just to walk away from your studio and lie and listen to the rain, or, you know, listen to the ocean, all of these sounds, you know, it just helps you, you know, distress a little bit. And I think, you know, whatever I can kind of, you know, bring to the table in that respect, with, you know, I suppose creating a 3D caricature of the artist. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's great. I mean, obviously I want to try and evolve that somehow down the line. But yeah, it's I'll keep going for as long as people want me.
The questions that you're asking, the amazing attention to detail that you're putting into your site, and all the content that you put out, you are going very, very far, and you can continue to keep going far, because it's that love right there at its core. It's all about love. You know what I mean? And it's helping to give hope to people when they get to see their favorite artist talking about the things that they want to talk about. And from a fan's perspective, they get to, you know, the fan gets to see that this person is a human being. This person is, you know, this person that they love and admire, that they, not just their music, but them as a person. Them getting to see that, getting to see how real that they are and how true that they are, it really helps them get through the day.
Absolutely. And the bottom line here is it is all for the love of the scene and the people within it and the musicians that that hold it high, because, you know, without them, we wouldn't have a scene. So it's all about the love, definitely.
That's very true. What was the drive behind getting you into creating Forged in Neon?
That's another great question, actually. It's something I thought about long and hard, because for me, you know, for quite some time now, I've had a love of synthwave music. Even before Drive, can I just point that out? Um, but it's, you know, obviously then at a later stage, I was flying around the world. I was going to the UK, I was going to Canada, I was going to the US, all for the love of wanting to support my favorite artists and just to see friends and, you know, just to generally have a great time. It got to a stage that looking at my tax receipts and, you know, my credit card bills, that it looked as if every time I fancied a night out, I was flying to London. It got that much in terms of my traveling. But I mean, the drive for me, just to kind of circle back, was because of my friendships with artists and musicians. They started to lean on me a little bit, which I was totally, you know, I was flabbergasted with, but they were definitely leaning on me with respect to, you know, maybe giving me a first listen to a new track, or something that even before mastering, you know, that they send me out something, or they'd perhaps just be looking for my counsel with respect to certain issues they're coming up with. And I said to myself that, you know, I've got such a wealth of knowledge that, like, my head was exploding, and I wanted to kind of do something with that, but I wasn't too sure what to do. In theory, from my own perspective, I saw that there was other people out there doing review sites probably even better than what I would have done it. And I think there's a certain sense of self-doubt in us all, that what would I in effect bring to the table that wasn't already out there to be done, or out there that had been done. So the driving force in essence was obviously this dreaded COVID lockdown scenario, which unfortunately we're going through the second bout of it here in Dublin. We're in a second lockdown, high status alert. And I said, I'm gonna try and do something here. I'm gonna try and figure out how I'm gonna kind of wrestle with my thoughts, my ideas, and just put it all down on paper. And about the same time, I was chatting to a guy called Mark Butler, who, as you may or may not know, is an artist by the name of Spectral Night, and he had some graphic design knowledge. And he said, well, look, if you're serious about this, let me kind of, you know, create, you know, a little something for you that you can build on. And that's pretty much the, I suppose, the nucleus of Forged in Neon came from that, you know, of me just kind of just putting all my ideas out on a page, hoping they'd make some sense. But as the weeks and months wore on, it kind of got a bit tinier, you know, with the reviews and the news and all of that. It sort of became, it became its own thing in essence, and actually it's probably become bigger than me now, which is a bit ridiculous, you know, insofar as that, you know, I get and slayed with emails every day, and, you know, with people wanting to submit. And I mean, it's amazing that, you know, from one simple site came so much, you know. But yeah, so the general sort of consensus behind it was, I suppose, you know, looking for a project, just looking for something to channel my ideas. Lockdown happened, and here we are.
Yeah, looking for that thing to channel your passion and your knowledge into. Mm-hmm. What I've seen from you over the years, as I've seen you going to a lot of shows, I've seen you experiencing a lot of amazing artists live and in concert. You know, you just said going to the US, going to UK, going to Canada, you know, going anywhere where there's a synthwave show, you know what I mean? Like being there, getting in there, seeing the fans, talking to the people, talking, you know, to the artists. And it's great to see that you transitioned all of that love into this site, and doing the interviews to helping to put up the playlist, to helping to put up the music videos, to helping to connect the fans with the artists themselves, and vice versa. It's great. It's so great. And then also too, it's like it has taken on its own entity. It really has, because as you continue progressing, as you continue progressing with this, you know, it starts to become its own beast, if you will. You know, and I use the term beast loosely because sometimes when you're doing these, I know for myself, when I'm editing these interviews and talking to these artists, sometimes it can become kind of a monster of a pile of things that you have to sift through and go through. But once you get organized, that beast becomes this small. Organize yourself and get going. But I think it's grown so much. And, you know, through the quarantine, through the lockdowns, through everything, I mean, we're still battling here. You know, we're battling it here a lot at home. We are. Where I'm at in California, it's a little bit easier, a little bit better. You know, we can't manage to keep our cases low and stuff like that. But we still can't go out and party like we used to. We can't have big events and all that kind of stuff. And I miss that a lot. But I have noticed through all of this stuff, for, you know, for myself, kind of going like, hey, I want to do something positive, try to bring a little hope to people a little bit, and through doing these artist interviews like I'm doing here, talking with you, this is what it's all about at its core, is having these conversations and bringing them to the forefront. And I think that your site has grown so much through this, and I think it's because, you know, us human beings, we're looking for that connection. We're at that thirst of knowledge. We want to know what's going on with the people out there in the world, and you are the connection piece, the bridge, if you will. And I think that's great.
Yeah, you know, it's never, as I said, it's never not going to be a tad unsettling that I actually have tapped into something that has grown exponentially, but at the same time, I'm quite proud of that as well, you know, because it's a, you know, I didn't know was sitting at my PC in March or April, whenever I started it, that it would become as big as it has come October, you know, which is great. I mean, I can't fault it in any way. I mean, it has increased my workload significantly, but, you know, if I didn't have work, then that would be another question to answer. But yeah, no, it's pretty decent. I can't complain.
I hear you there. I hear you there. And I got to tell you, through all of this, I was not as busy before the quarantine. Now I am so busy, and I'm trying to figure out how to juggle everything. So I know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah.
I have not been so much. I've been so busy through all of this. It's crazy. But hey, it's great. And that's the only, I wouldn't have it any other way. I really wouldn't have it any other way. I love to be busy. I don't know about you guys out there, but I just love it when I'm busy.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a, you know, as I said, if we weren't busy, there will be something else to answer. But I think it's principally down to the year we've had as well, because more people have time to work on things. So therefore, there's more music out there, there's more EPs, more albums coming at you. So it's sort of like, I can kind of make my peace with that. You know, maybe 2021 will be a lot kinder to us all, and maybe our workload will get a little less. But having said that, you know, it's all about you get out what you put in, you know. It's great that way.
I do agree with that, and it's giving a lot of artists a lot of time to kind of work and hone their craft and really kind of crank out some really awesome stuff.
Oh,
so to everybody out there, fans and artists, I mean, to the artists out there, I gotta say, congratulations on all the hard work you guys are putting into all of your music, because you guys are really killing it with everything that you put out. Because you're right, I've heard some really amazing stuff coming out through all of this, and I really do think it's a way for artists to kind of cope with the changing world that we're living in. And I think that when our backs are up against the wall, that's when we shine the brightest.
Exactly. Here. I mean, you know, as you said yourself quite rightly, I mean, you know, we've had such a vast array of awesome music this year, you know, from Swayze the beginning to Floyd Bishop to L'Avenue, and, you know, it just seems to be consistent, which is, as you said, is all of these artists and these people that we look up to honing their craft. And it's all about being creative. And I mean, certainly just coming back to myself, I mean, it is that creativity that sort of drives you as well. I mean, it's the same for yourself, I'm guessing, as well, with your DJing and tour Fiend and all of it. You know, it's you know, it's all about the love for the scene. And this particular year, in essence, shone a light on how important artists and musicians are, especially for people's mental health as well, you know?
I totally agree with that. You're right. With this year and the past 8 months that we've been going through this, it really has shined a light. It really has shined a light on how important, you're right, how important it is for artists you know, you know, how important music is for the people out there, to create and inspire hope, inspire some type of change in people. You know, and I think like when I know for myself, when I wake up in the morning, it's like I get my day started. And of course, when I'm in the car, I'm blasting music on the way to work because it's helping me get my day going. I know for a lot of people out there, it's like that's the way it is. They pop in their headphones, they go walk in, whatever they got to do, working out, doesn't matter. And whether it's listening to this style of music or another style of music, it's so important to people's mental health. It really is, and it helps them get going through the day. It's a thing that inspires hope and inspires change.
Absolutely. I mean, as you know yourself, synthwave lends itself to pretty much every facet of daily life, from working out to walking to just sitting there studying. It lends a lot of gravitas to that, and I think for any artist out there who is sort of struggling with their way in the world, it's a situation whereby there are people out there who will listen to you and have listened to you, and you have probably made their day by doing that. So certainly in that context, keep creating, because for everything that you create, you are making somebody happy, or you're making somebody, want to live their days through. I mean, I've read, people, they're even on certain Facebook websites where they're saying that synthwave just gets me through. Simple as that, and it's such a fantastic genre of music that allows people to do that. I mean, obviously, I come from in my teenage years, I was a big metalhead, and I've never really heard anybody saying metal gets me through the day. It's all about, the synthwave and various facets of it, the synthwave and the sunshine and the happiness it invokes.
Yeah, exactly. The happiness that it does invoke, and it really is doing a lot out there. It really is making a difference, making a change, and it is seeping into every facet of daily life. It really is. And it's coming more to the forefront to popular music. And I think it's great because there are fans all over the world who really appreciate it and really appreciate everything that it's done. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Certainly in that aspect, when people think, oh, it's gone too commercial, like personally speaking, it's not commercial enough. I think everybody should actually really, be touched by this music. Everybody, so whether it's a TV show or a movie or, in a public house somewhere or an event, if it's a situation whereby you can hear synthwave playing. I mean, I remember, like myself, I was in a cafe in Dublin, and the Midnight started playing, and I'm going, oh my God, they're playing the Midnight, and I know what, because Dublin itself isn't really a synthwave city. I mean, it's not, it's dead, it just doesn't exist. And, there are people like me that are trying to kind of, I suppose, punch through the void in essence and figure out whether there's a way we can kind of get events to come to the city. And there's, a production company in Dublin called Left of the Dial, who has brought over Time Cop and FM Attack and people like that, which is slowly introducing the scene into the city. But when the Midnight come by, there's like 2,000 people, but then when there's smaller acts, they're nowhere to be found. So it's interesting, but I mean, certainly just to kind of go back, for me, synthwave, gosh, even for me personally, has gotten me through some, stuff, let's say, and if it does that for me, I'm sure it does it for everybody else.
Exactly. And speaking to everybody out here right now, if you build it, they will come. Right there. If you help continue to build it up and create it wherever you're at, in whatever city you're at, whatever your town at, it will come. It will come to your city, it will come to your town, and it will help to expose more ears to this lovely music. So, hey, don't get discouraged. If you're in a place that doesn't have it, you can make it happen. You can build it. You can do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
What are you looking forward to accomplishing the most moving forward?
I mean, obviously, I don't want the site to get stale in essence with interview after review after, all the kind of things. So for 2021, I think for a lot of people, including myself, I'm going to try and level up a little bit. I'm going to trade off, because I think what's happening is that obviously with my site, there's only so far you can go with that. So I'm going to still keep the interviews going, but obviously with my travel to gigs, which, fingers crossed, I can do next year, I'll have boots on the ground. So in that sense, I'll be able to kind of maybe talk to the artists pre and post their gig, find out how they're feeling, obviously do some gig reviews, maybe, you know, photography. And, you know, somewhere in the back of my mind, I also want to try and do a radio show or a podcast or something, you know, unfortunately. I mean, personally speaking, I think I've already got my podcast intro music sorted with Elevate the Sky, let's be honest. But insofar as that, you know, now obviously I've been chatting to people who have and are continuing to do podcasts and radio shows, and they do say it's a lot of unbelievably hard work. But you know what? I mean, it's going back to what you quite rightly said earlier. It's the love of it. So whatever I can do to kind of expand that a little more, I'll try it. You know, it's just all about being creative.
I think those are some amazing goals right there. I think those are amazing things, because when we do get back to live shows, going out there, doing the pre and post interviews, like getting out there, doing the photography, getting boots on the ground, getting everything, getting that exposure out there, you know, like seeing these artists and being able to talk to them at the events, I think it's going to be great. I think it really is going to help build it up. And I cannot wait to see what 2021 and 2022 brings for Forge
It's
Neon.
going to be bonkers, Jack. It's going to be absolutely off the chain. I mean, I'm not sure there's enough of me to go around, but, you know, I'm going to try. That's for sure.
Well, you know what? Great things. Great things. What positive message would you give your fans out there?
You know what? I actually thought about this one too a lot. However, I hadn't realized that the message I'm about to deliver was staring me right in the face. I have a motto and had a motto for years, which some people will actually recognize now when I say it. And it's always fear, regret more than failure. And that particular motto made its way into Gunship, When You Grow Up Your Heart Dies. And that whole track is one long positive message. So in essence, it's for me, you know, be in the moment, create, create, create. If you have an idea or something that you want to do, plunge, just do it, because I took that plunge and it's paid off tremendously. Everybody starts somewhere, and I, you know, I feel almost, you know, empathetic with respect to artists out there who feel they're not getting that recognition, or who feel that they're not getting the, I suppose, the love that they deserve. But if they keep pushing and keep trying to break it, they will make it. You know, and I mean, again, just, you know, always fear regret more than failure. If you don't take the plunge, and you don't have a genuinely good outlook to what you're doing as a person, then you're failing to prepare. Then, really, you know, in that sense that you're, you want the world to hear your message, and I think certainly for artists, there's never a truer message suggested or said with people who put music down and create something absolutely magical, because we've all started somewhere. You just gotta keep on keeping on.
You're exactly right. Wise words right here, Ashley, Anita, everybody. Fear regret more than failure. That right there. If you put yourself out in the world, you say yes, you get going, you do what you want to do, you make your vision known to the world, and you embrace yourself and all of the beauty and the talents that you have inside of yourself, you will go amazing places. But you have to push, you have to work, you have to put in time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to be easy. The mountain is never going to be able to be traversed like right away. It's always going to be ups and downs, twists and turns, side to side, you know, all over the place. But you always have a clear vision. You always have a clear vision of what you want. And every time you focus on that vision, you have these little goals you knock out along the way. Boom, 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 boom. But I think if you get out of your head sometimes and you get out of your head and get out of the doubt, you will find yourself making your way every single day. But you got to push. You got to break through the wall. You will make it. You will make it to the point that you want to make it. And always remember, everybody out there, Your successes are always different from somebody else's successes. They always are. So whatever you feel inside of your heart, whatever you feel inside of your soul that you want to achieve, that you want to make happen for yourself, make that happen. Don't base it on somebody else's successes, only base it on what you want out of your life. Thank you so much, Ashley, for taking the time to sit down and do this interview today. Thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch us have this conversation. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to our Fiend YouTube channel, as we have many more awesome artist interviews on the way, just like this one with Ashley and Anita of Forged in Neon. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon, Ashley.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And everybody out there, be sure to check out Ashley's site, Forged in Neon, and all the amazing things that she is doing for this scene and all the love that she's put into it. I am a fan of what she does, and I know you guys will be too.
Thank you.